Hello students, let us continue the session on direct and inverse proportion. In the previous session, we had discussed the questions which are related to direct proportion. Now, these are the questions which are related to inverse proportion. Question 1, which of the following are in inverse proportion? We need to identify from the given statements here which one is inverse proportion. Look at statement 1, the number of workers on a job and the time to complete the job. This particular statement, it's in inverse proportion. The reason is as the number of workers increase, the job will get over in a less time. The time taken will be decreased. So the first one is in inverse proportion. The reason I'll be mentioning it here. Increase in number of workers decreases the time to complete. So they are in inverse proportion. Look at the statement number 2, the time taken for journey and the distance traveled in a uniform speed. The time taken for a journey and the distance traveled in the uniform speed. If time is taken more, it means that it's be covering more distance. So it means that this particular thing is not in inverse proportion. It's a direct proportion. More the time, distance covered will be more. So this is not an inverse proportion. Third one, area of cultivated land and the crop harvested. If you consider more area, more crop will be harvested. More the area, crop harvested is more. So it means that this particular thing is also not an inverse proportion. It will become a direct proportion. Let's look at statement number 4. The time taken for a fixed journey and the speed of vehicle. This will definitely be a inverse proportion. The reason is if speed increases, time taken decreases. So this is in inverse proportion. This is inverse proportion. Statement number 5, the population of country and the area per land. This is again an inverse proportion. The reason is more the population, the land occupied will decrease. Increase in population decreases the area of land per person. Let's look at question number 2. In a television game show, the prize money of rupees 1 lakh is to be divided equally amongst winners. Complete the following table and find whether the prize money given to an individual winner is directly or inversely proportional to the number of winners. Here they are given with respect to one winner, it's 1 lakh. For two winners, when it is divided, it is 50,000. Now we need to complete this for 4, 5, 8, 10, and 20. For instance, if I consider this to be A, this to be B, C, D, and E respectively, if you observe here, 1 into 1 lakh, 1 into 1 lakh is equal to 2 times of 50,000. This means that it is inversely proportional. So it means that when we consider 2 times of 50,000, I can equate it to 4 times of A. From this, A can be found as 2 times 50,000 divided by 4, and we get it as 25,000. If the number of winners are 4, then the amount each one will be getting is 25,000. Same way, I can consider 2 times of 50,000 equal to 5 times of B. So we can calculate B. B will be 2 times 50,000 divided by 5, and this becomes 20,000. If the number of winners are 5, they will be having 20,000 each. Similar way, when we have 8 times of C, I can equate it to 2 times of 50,000. So C will be 2 times 50,000 divided by 8 to 4 times. 4 divides this 50,000, 12,500 will get. Same way, 20 times of E will be equal to 2 times 50,000. So we can calculate E. E will be 2 times 50,000 divided by 20. We get it as 5,000. So A value is 25,500. B value is 20,000. C value is 12,500, and E value, I missed one, I think. Yes, I missed this. Let's find D. So 10 times of D is equal to 2 times 50,000. So D will be equal to 2 times 50,000 divided by 10. We get D value as 10,000. So this is the value of D. Sorry. So we have found all these A, B, C, and D. Let's look at question number 3. Rahman is making a wheel using spokes. He wants to fix equal spokes in such a way that the angle between the pair of consecutive spokes are equal. Help him by completing the following table. If the number of spokes are 4, the angle between the spoke will be 90 degree. If the number of spokes are 6 in number, it is 60 degree. You observe here, as the number of spokes are increased, the angle between the consecutive spoke will decrease. So this particular question is related to inverse proportion. Let me consider this as A, let this be B, let this be C. Since it is in inverse proportion, I can straight away say that 4 times of 90, I can equate it to 8 times of A. Let me mention here 4 times 90 equal to 8 times A. So we can find A. A will be 4 times of 90 divided by 8. We get it as 45 degrees. Now let me take 4 times of 90 equated to 10 times of B. So B we get it as 36 degrees. Similar way, 12 times of C is equal to 6 times 60 also I can take. C will be equal to 6 times 60 divided by 12. We get it as 30 degrees. So 30 degrees, 36 degrees, 45 degrees are the values of C, B and A respectively. Are the spokes forming inverse proportion? Yes, they are forming inverse proportion. How do you answer that? We observe that 4 times 90 is equal to 6 times 60. This implies that they are in inverse proportion. So first question is answered. The second question is to calculate the angle between the pair of consecutive. So this is for the second one. We have found the angle between them. Now the third one, how many spokes would be needed if the angle of pair of consecutive spokes is 40 degrees? Suppose if I consider y is the number of spokes into 40 degrees, I can equate it to say 6 times of 60. So y we can find it out, 6 times of 60 divided by 40. 0 get cancelled. We get it as 9 spokes. So answer for the third one is also found. It's 9 spokes. Question number 4. If a box of sweet is divided among 24 children, they will get 5 sweets each. How many would each get if the number of children are reduced by 4? Here, let's write this in a tabular form. First, I'll write the number of children. Then I'll write the number of sweets. If the number of children are 24, each one will be getting 5. If the number is reduced by 20, it means that 24 minus 4, which is 20. If it becomes 20, how many sweets each one will be getting? Let me take it as A. When the number of children decreases, the number of sweets each one will be getting is increased. So it is in inverse proportion. For inverse proportion, we all know that x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2. So x1 y1 is 24 times of 5, which is equal to 20 times of A. So A will be 24 into 5 divided by 20. 5 4 times, 4 6 times. We get A as 6. So each one will be getting 6 sweets each. Question number 5. A farmer has enough food to feed 20 animals in his cattle for 6 days. How long would the food last if there were 10 more animals in his cattle? If the number of animals are increased, we know that the food will last for less number of days. So it's inverse proportion. Here the number of animals and the number of days are being given. If the number of animals are 20, food will last for 6 days. If it is increased by 10, it means 20 plus 10. How many days? So let me consider this as some p number of days. Since it is inverse proportion, for inverse proportion, x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2. So 20 times of 6 is equal to 30 times of p. So the value of p is 20 by 6 by 30. 0 get cancelled, we get it as 4 days. So you observe here, when the number of animals are more, the number of days are decreased. Question number 6. A contractor estimates that 3% could rewire Jasminder's house in 4 days. If he uses 4 persons instead of 3, how long should they take to complete the work? Here again, this is in inverse proportion, because when the number of persons are increased, the number of days to complete the work decreases, and vice versa. Increase in one quantity decreases the other quantity. So it is in inverse proportion. Here they have given the number of persons and the number of days. When the number of persons are 3, it would take 4 days. If the number of persons are increased, let me consider some k number of days. And we know that for inverse proportion, x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2. This implies that 3 times of 4 is equal to 4 times of k. This 4 get cancelled, we get k value as 3. So 3 days it would take. Question number 7. A batch of bottles were packed in 25 boxes with 12 bottles in each box. If the same batch is packed using 20 bottles in each box, how many boxes would be filled? Here, when the number of bottles in each batch is increased, the total number of boxes will decrease. So this is again clearly inverse proportion. What is being given that we shall mention? Here, the number of boxes and the number of bottles per box. It's given. If 12 bottles are there in each box, it would take total number of boxes is 25. If 20 are considered instead of 12, here let me take this as x. Since it is in inverse proportion, I can write 25 times of 12 is equal to x times of 20. So the value of x will be equal to 25 into 12 divided by 20. 25 12 times is 300, by 20 will be 15. So the number of boxes is reduced to 15 now. Question 8. A factory requires 42 machines to produce a given number of articles in 63 days. How many machines would be required to produce the same number of articles in 54 days? Here, let me mention the number of machines and the number of days. Here, 42 machines would take 63 days, how many machines will make in 54 days? That's what we need to calculate. Since they are in inverse proportion, this 42 times of 63 will be equal to x times of 54. So x we need to find. It is 42 times 63 divided by 54. 7, 7 times 9 6 times 6 ones are 6 sevens are 42. 7 times is 49. We get 49 as the number of machines. Question 9. Car takes 2 hours to reach a destination by traveling at speed of 60 km per hour. How long will it take when the car travels at the speed of 80 km per hour? Here, two of the things which are given, they are the speed is there in terms of kilometer per hour and the time taken in terms of hours. If 60 is the speed, 60 km per hour, it would take 2 hours. If speed increases, the time has to decrease, so it's in inverse proportion. So straight away 60 times 2 is equal to 80 times x. So x is equal to 60 times 2 divided by 80, and we get it as 3 by 2, which is 1.5 hours. So 1 hour 30 minutes are required. Question number 10. Two persons would fit new windows in a house in 3 days. One of the person fell ill before the work started. How long would it take to complete the job now? How many persons will be needed to fit the windows in 1 day? So there are two sub questions here. Things which are given, let me mention the number of persons and the number of days. If the number of persons are 2, it would take 3 days. In the first question, if only one person is there because another person fell sick, let me consider the number of days to be x. If it is to be completed in only 1 day, how many persons are required? Let me take this as y. Let's take up the first case in this inverse proportion. 2 into 3 will be equal to 1 time of x, so x will be equal to 6. So 6 days it will take for one person to complete. If it has to be completed in 1 day, how many people are required? It would require 6 persons. Question number 11. A school has 8 periods a day each of 45-minute duration. How long would each period be if school has 9 periods a day, assuming the number of hours would be the same? Here it's clearly in inverse proportion. They have mentioned that the number of periods and duration of periods in terms of minutes. 45 minutes each duration when the number of periods are 8. If the number of periods is made 9, what would be the duration? This is clearly in inverse proportion. If the number of periods are increased, the time duration for each period decreases. So 8 times of 45 will be equal to 9 times of x. So x will be equal to 8 times 45 divided by 9. So 9 5 times. So we get it as 40 minutes. So with this, the questions of inverse proportion and the chapter is complete. That's all for today's session. Thank you.